This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Friday, January 30th, 2026, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined by Ethan Robson of agmarket.net as we will break down the closing markets for today. But first, it is my discussion from the Iowa Pork Congress. I had a chance to speak with Jamie Burr, the Chief Sustainability Officer of the National Pork Board. Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm joined today by Jamie Burr. He's the Chief Sustainability Officer with the National Pork Board. And Jamie, I am here with you today at the Iowa Pork Congress National Pork Board exhibit, and I wanted to ask you about the ability to get data into the hands of the people that it needs to be, kind of staying on that offensive side of things, of trying to stay a step ahead. And could you kind of tell me how that plays into your role and what you've been working on?
Sure, Mark, and thank you for the question. You know, we have a lot of detractors that are against our industry. We get a lot of pushback. There's a lot of folks that are against our industry. But what we have to do is to take both a defensive and an offensive posture to where we have a way to push back against that data. We have a way to share producers' story of the great things that they do. And one of the things that I like to, kind of an analogy that I like to use from an offensive perspective is there's not been a single baseball team win the World Series by playing defense alone. You have to stand in the batter's box, which is the most nervous spot to be, right? When the spotlight's on you, when the spotlight's on your farm or on your data, you can be nervous about it. But we get up every morning to do the right thing. There's no one that doesn't do that in the pork industry from my perspective. So we've got to stand in that batter's box, even though it makes us nervous, and we've got to score runs. And the only way to do that is proactively with data so that we can share that data with the channel partners, with the brands going forward. So how we do that is we work with a third-party contractor, EOC, that works with producers to collect their data in a very anonymous way. I cannot see any of their data. We aggregate that. Actually, our third party aggregates that information and gives us a report so that we can use that. So our states can use it in, one of the ways our states use it is to push back against regulation. The way that we use it, because Pork Board cannot do that, we use it with the brands to say, here's the efforts that the pork industry has made. Let me give you a couple examples where in Iowa, I can tell you that if you compare the 100 or so farms that's been participated in the program, that the amount of soil erosion is about a fourth of what the national average is. A second point I like to make is the amount of carbon that we put in the ground is greater than what we emit as an industry. And I think it's just important to be able to share that with our partners so that when they get information from our detractors, we have sound science to push back against that information.
And then just to go back to your very first point then, for the detractors of the pork industry, they might say something and then you can say, yes, but we are doing the right things. But basically, this is just to put a bow on it to say, hey, here's the hard facts, the hard data that shows not only are we saying we're doing the right things, but we're backing it up.
That's exactly right. And again, it's with data, right? It's nobody can argue with science. Everybody likes to argue with science, but this is on-farm data from producers aggregated in a way that proves that producers do get up every day to take care of people, planet, and pigs.
So let's move on to another thing I wanted to talk to you about, and that is freedom to operate. We know that is such an important thing for producers to have that ability, that freedom to operate the way that they would like to run their organization or their operation, while still following all of those practices that we've already talked about. But how does the supply chain factor into helping to protect that ability for freedom to operate for individual producers?
Mark, a lot of folks, the brands that buy, the retailers and food service entities that are especially publicly traded get pressure. They get activist shareholder pressure to develop procurement policies that are not good for our producers. And the thing that bothers me the most about that is if we go back to the 50s, there were 3 million pork producers in the United States. In the 90s, there were 120,000. Today, there's 60,000. And that trend line is not good. We've got to have that data so that we can show regulators or those that buy our product, that we do get up every day to do the right thing, that we have an offensive story to share with those brands.
And you're also here today wearing your We Care hat, which ties into the We Care ethical principles. Could you tell us, please, kind of how that's factoring into the long-term goals of National Pork Board? I know we talk about it a lot, but it is still there right top of mind for NPB.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us to think about how long We Care has been. There's an old song, we were country before country wasn't cool, but sustainability in this industry, we formalized a program called We Care in 2008. Almost 20 years ago. So we are not new. This industry is not new to the word sustainability. We've just called it We Care. So those 6 ethical principles, producers have developed goals and metrics to begin tracking, and that's what the on-farm report does, is starts collecting that data to be able to prove how we are tracking against those goals and metrics in all 6 of the We Care ethical principles.
So Jamie, just to wrap things up here today, our conversation at the Iowa Pork Congress, do you feel like just the hog industry in general is in a good spot right now when it comes to sustainability, following along with those principles that National Pork Board has helped to lay out, and really setting up farmers with the chance to succeed with those?
Yes, I think that pork actually leads in this space if you look at other proteins. And it really goes back to producers' foresight, decades ago to say, we probably better start playing more offense than what we have. So I think we've set ourselves up as we continue to collect data and to be able to share that story. And, before I close, I would really like to thank Iowa producers because, 2 years ago, we had about 500,000 hogs represented in this particular program. This past year, we had 1.8 million hogs represented. We had almost a 50% increase in the number of producers that are involved too. So there's strength in numbers, and we've continued to grow this program, and I just wanted to say thank you to those that are involved.
He is Jamie Burr, the Chief Sustainability Officer with the National Pork Board. Jamie, thanks so much for the time. Always appreciate talking with you. Have a great rest of the Iowa Pork Congress.
Thank you, Mark.
It's time now for our closing markets, and I'm joined by Ethan Robson of agmarket.net. Ethan, at midday today, there wasn't a lot of good news in the grains. How did we close today?
Yeah, it didn't close with very much good news either to end the week today. Had March corn down 2.5. March soybeans down 8 cents as well at 10.64 1/4. Wheat market Chicago down 3 cents as well. And just overall, most markets just in the red today. Main story though came from the outside markets, gold, silver, all the metals today. Just top came off of it, down big. Silver actually had a $40 swing at one point. We're down $32 right now, which is about 28% decrease, or 28% down from start of the day, which is pretty. This metal market has just been pretty interesting to say the least.
And that's interesting that you mentioned that because we had the big up movement in the metals yesterday, now the big downturn today. So I wanted to ask you, does that mean that money's headed to other markets then? What's your theory?
Yeah, definitely some money flow going on here. People having good profits in their long positions for both gold, silver. Because let's be honest, there hasn't been many pullback days in the red for gold and silver. So people looking at their profits right now, seeing how much money, especially the funds, taking advantage of that before this weekend. So we're already off the lows for both gold and silver, and so money staying tight right now. It's going to be interesting to see where does that money go. Had President Trump today announced his new Fed chair, Kevin Walsh. I think that had a little bit of an impact today with both the gold, silver, metal markets. Just a little bit really defensive today for those, and that just came to all the other markets as well.
Let's move over to the other side of the markets now. How did the livestock sector trade today?
Yeah, a little bit of the same story there, still in the red today. A little bit quieter on the live cattle front. Down $1 or $2 in the April contract today. Feeders down $4 to $5 across the board. On the charts wise, live cattle have been able to stay above that 20-day moving average, trade right to that today. Going to be important to hold there. And then feeder cattle, like I said, down $4 to $5 across the board here. Lean hogs, a little bit of a defensive day there too, down about 30 points as well. And so just really think the main story of today has been that metal market led the way up. And so to see a pretty aggressive profit taking take place there, that just bled out to all the other markets as well.
And then we're also going to receive the cattle inventory report here after the close today. We haven't gotten it yet. So do you have any kind of thoughts going into the report? And what's your general sentiment going into the report in terms of, is there any chance for a surprise today?
There definitely is. With all of these USDA reports and all government reports in general, it definitely has a chance to be a surprise. Main thing the trade's going to be watching is this herd being rebuilt? This is typically one of the most volatile reports. Going to be interesting to have this weekend to be able to come in Monday morning, 8:30, see, okay, trade had the whole weekend to analyze the data, realize how this herd is. Going to be very interesting Monday, 8:30, see how the trade responds.
Lots of great information today. Ethan, what's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
Yeah, give us a call here in Bloomington Normal, 1-800-779-1515. Better yet, visit us at online agmarket.net. Has all the information you need.
Thanks so much for the time here today. Always appreciate it, and have a great weekend.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you to Ethan Robson of agmarket.net for joining today's show. Let's take a look at the closing market numbers, which can be found anytime under the Markets tab of our website at iowaagnet.com. March corn closes down 2.5 at $4.28 1/4. March soybeans down 8 cents at $10.64 1/4. March soybean meal down $2.40 at $293.60. March soybean oil down 52 cents at $53.51. Chicago wheat down 3.5 at $5.38. Minneapolis wheat down 3 cents at $5.78. Kansas City hard red wheat down 2 1/4 at $5.44 3/4. March oats up 3 3/4 at $3.06 3/4. On the Merc, February live cattle up 35 cents at $235.85. March feeder cattle down 4.85 at $360.28. February lean hogs down 45 cents at $87.25. February pork cutout unchanged at $97.95. Class 3 milk up 15 cents at $15.49. That does it for the closing markets and brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content online at iowaagnet.com. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith and Dustin Huffman, you've been watching Ag Matters PM.